it went down last night. Did you watch Cash?
Yeah, with the Boba Fett man.
Yeah. Freaking Rashid was like, put some respect on Boba Fett's name. I was like, Jesus, man.
Crazy man, crazy.
That's when you know someone has your back, though. Like
Yeah.
Rashid, the way he was like behind Boba Fett, like he's through and through, man. So
Throw that man in
2024.
the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. Oh, Buck. Oh, man. All right, man. Well, I guess we should end it real quick before Rashid shows up. Look who it is.
So,
what, what's up, Rashid? So we're gonna have an interview tonight with Amilcar Fong. Cash, you interviewed him, I would say 6 months ago, about now, right?
Yeah, yeah. He was
Yeah.
episode 17 of the Cash and Out show.
Yeah, man. We were like little kids back then, so
Yeah.
yeah, we've come a long way. But I think he's running a little bit late. I'm gonna send him the invite one more time, but just yeah, he'll be here soon. But how's your day going, Cash?
All is well. At work. But like I said, I got some spare time. So what better way than to spend it with you guys and my good buddy Amilcar, man. I think that I think art is very important, and it's very fascinating the way he talks. And
Oh, he's right there.
oh
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
as I was saying.
Hello, guys.
hello.
What's up,
Hey, how's it
Amilcar?
going on, Amilcar?
Hello. How you doing, guys? All good?
Good,
All
good.
good, all good. Glad you can
Are
make
we
it. But,
live already? Are we live already?
yeah.
Oh my god! All right.
We got to start in American time. Tiempo Argentino's a little bit 5 minutes
Okay.
late.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Nice to be here, guys. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
No
I
doubt.
love the sculpts that you have behind you. I've never wow, those are. Hold on 1 second.
Few of those.
Crazy.
Few of those. It's my, man cave.
Awesome.
Nice.
Looks great.
Greetings.
But Cash, you're having a good day. You're at work, you said, and you're still at work.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I'm still at work, and you know what's crazy, right? Because we had a Milcar on my channel, like I said, episode 17, right?
Mhm.
So if you guys can see, he has the wolf predator behind him, right? Now, my girl, she wants no statues upstairs, no statues. And yesterday, she's like, "Oh, the one statue that would actually be okay upstairs." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "A Milcar's predator." So like, I'm like, wait. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so we can get this predator upstairs. You know what I'm saying? Domino effect.
Awesome. Buck, how's your day going?
Pretty good so far. Just did some work for myself and work for the boss man. And yeah, I'm here now.
For the man? Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this. Fangs is your surname or something
No.
made up for?
The whole name
I was
is
like,
fake.
yeah.
But it looks like Fong. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Oh.
But the whole name is fake. It's
Okay, that's good. That's good.
my name is too hard for people to pronounce. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way too hard. No, but Buck, thanks for joining in tonight. Really appreciate it,
Yeah,
man.
of course.
Amilcar, how's your day going?
So far so good. Working, just working and working.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this isn't work. This should be a
Oh no, for sure
breeze.
not.
Yeah.
For sure not. This is a very super entertaining and a refreshment. I mean, it's good to be here. It's sometimes we don't have the chance to talk with the community, and it is good. Yeah, I do really appreciate that because sometimes you get separated from the art and from the sculpt and for the work you do and you create and not only me but many. I am lucky enough to have a name that is sort of known, not that much, but a little bit. I don't want to use the name, the word famous, but there are so many great artists out there that do not get the chance to get the name attached to the work they do. And I've been talking about this with Cash and sometimes, and it's like the product. Yes, the art that we create becomes a product once the company gets it and into production and do their magic. But once they do that, it's like, that's awesome. This company did this. This company did that. But nobody asks about who's behind that. Who did that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually, that's what has happened. So, thank you guys. Thank you very much for me. For the invitation.
Oh yeah, Amilcar, thanks for joining. And we advocate it all the time. Cash, John, a Buck, like who's the artist behind this? Like even Cash does it every time. He's like, I want to give a shout out to the sculptor. I want to give out, a shout out to
Yeah, the
anybody that's
painter,
involved in anybody that's involved in it. Cash always gives them a huge credit to them. So it's a small little part, but it's overall picture, right? Like you want to recognize everybody. So yeah, I definitely hear you on that. But
That's one thing I would say for this community is that like people here, they care about the person that's making the products for them. There's other industries, maybe like if you watch a movie or like a film, you might not necessarily care to know like who's the person who animated this scene. Like I really love like 2D animation, so I always check for that kind of stuff, and I like to find my favorite 2D animators for like animation. But those are the kind of things people don't necessarily check to see the artist that collaborated on a project to make a thing. And one thing I say for this community is that people are very good about knowing and appreciating the person that makes the products that they're purchasing.
It's getting more and more like that, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
yeah, I think like a really well known for like all of us is Daniel Bell. Like anytime someone looks at the sculpt of like the anatomy, like, oh, that's Daniel Bell. Oh, that's so and so, and it becomes so second nature to us now, to where like I want to know at least like who else, who are the other sculptors, who are the other artists. Like it's interesting. So that's why I wanted to do this tonight, like with you, to get a better, definitely get a better mindset on everything. But I don't want this to be an interview, like a boring interview either. But we have a bunch of questions that we came up with, so see if we could have some fun with this thing. Buck actually came up with the next couple of questions. But Buck's first question was, when working on the sculpt. Well, Buck, did you want to read it really quick? I'll let you.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was thinking behind this was, when you're working on a sculpt, how rigidly do you stick to the concept arts? And it can be a mix of in terms of what the client wants you to do. Do they give you a lot of freedom to evolve the concepts in your own way, using your own artistic taste and flourishes to enhance the sculpt and the concept, to push it and put your own spin on stuff? Or are they very rigid about you sticking to the concept that they provide? And in terms of even you, when you do that, for instance, I know you also do concept art yourself. So if you make a concept and you want to sculpt your own concept, how much do you try to finalize the idea in the concept itself before you move into the sculpting stage and start like working on your sculpt?
Well, it's a very it's a very good question, and at the same time, it's a question that has sort of a answer itself, because all those scenarios are true, are what happened in the real world. And usually what I encounter is that I always have a little bit of a freedom every time I do something, because one thing is 2D and another thing is 3D, transforming or translating something in 2D into 3D doesn't always translate literally to that.
Mhm.
There is a little bit of variation, but it depends on who did the 2D art, the concept art. Usually when you are a sculptor, just a sculptor, you have to do exactly what they gave you as a concept art, and that is probably most of the cases because they hire sculptors. They hire sort of someone who can translate what they gave him, what they give him as a 2D and concept art, literally into 3D. In my case, um, I have been lucky enough to um to work on projects where I have been given, in some cases, a lot of freedom, and in some other cases, not that much. I've been working lately in some movie stuff, like uh,
VFX.
statues based on movie design,
Oh, and movie design.
and it has been really, really painful. Uh, Being a creative person, um, cr- being creative is my nature. That's where I feel like fish in the water. For example, the classic example I can give you is the Scarecrow. We talked about this previously, but the Scarecrow was almost like the perfect alongside project alongside with the Alien Warrior Hive I did for both for XM. Um, that was like the perfect project for me because I was given very basics, limitation of frames where to move, and
Hmm.
from there I did whatever I created, whatever I come up with.
Hmm.
And that was like, okay, that's my nature, that's my water, that's my comfort zone. It's like being creative. And but when we talk about copying something from a movie, or for example, you have to, let's say, do a Batman or sculpt a Batman from a cover or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, for me it's it's terrible. It's terrible. I'm not very good copying things.
Hmm.
I can recreate something realistically, but also but always based on my opinion, what I think is cool. I'm not saying that whatever I say is written in stone,
Hmm.
or is it good enough to, that's it. That's um, all that there is. But what I'm saying is that if I am given the chance to be creative, that's the best thing.
Yeah.
Now, usually in the industry, what happened is that, again, people need to, sculptors usually have to stick really, really to the design. And it depends on the project, depends on and if you're doing a superhero, if you're doing something like, let's say, another franchise that is, they are making something new inside that realm, for example, that happened usually in the Aliens and Predator franchises, right? They usually do a new one, something made up, that doesn't
Yeah.
appear on the movies. But yeah, that's pretty much the answer. I think it varies every time they give you a project. It depends on the company, depends on the product, depends on licensors, everything. Yeah,
Hmm. I guess. Sorry, there's something that you said that I also want to follow up with another
yeah,
question
yeah,
that has to do with this. You know how you said you have to stick to the concept, and that makes a lot of sense, right?
yeah,
But
totally.
you get hired for that, but then you have to put your name on that as well. So you're sculpting this whole concept. You might not be entirely so satisfied with the idea you're sculpting always, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. And
yeah, yeah,
then if that when that happens, when the project goes out and it's out in the world and people are buying the statue, do you ever feel like a sense of frustration if there's something that people don't like with that sculpt, but it was just like, it's part of the concept and you had to put it there, and that kind of frustration where you go, okay, this is what I was told to make, and people are saying we don't like that, and the product is out, and obviously I'm not saying everyone comes together to make a piece, and like, at the end of the day, everyone on the project is trying to put the best thing that they can put out.
yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so I'm not even trying to put down the artist, but
No,
sometimes
no,
there's
for
going to
sure.
be like a creative difference even within the team, And so, like, do you ever find yourself being like frustrated if there is actually an aspect of the statue or whatever project it is, once it's out there in the world, and you can hear the feedback from the people that bought it, and they say we don't like this aspect or that aspect of it, and you're thinking, ah, damn, and I wanted to change that thing. I felt like this would have been a vision for it that would have worked.
Yeah, that is always. I mean, it, there is a saying that you cannot be a writer until you put your you make public your book, right? You're not a writer until you do that. So um, we need the audience in order to finalize the product. We need you guys. We need the collectors opinion, and we need to take that in consideration. And if there is something that they didn't like, it's like, okay, why? Am I wrong? Was I wrong? Was that done because my art director asked me to do that? So I have found myself more and more disconnected with the collectibles industry because there's so many people to how to say, to make happy.
Yeah.
There are so many opinions about things. Everybody nowadays have an opinion, whether it is
Yeah.
based on just I like it, just it's not exactly the same as the comic, and or just it's not my cup of tea, and it's like it's getting harder and harder to make happy the collectors. But at the same time, the limit it is almost like an endless buckle where um, an endless, like a serpent eating its own tail, because
Yeah.
it's like people want famous things, okay, things that they recognize, right? Companies wants to give that to people. They wants to make money by doing that, but at the same time, they are having less and less freedom to do other things that maybe not that many people, but some people want. Let's have an example. For example, Green Lantern. Over and over and over again, Hal Jordan and what's the other guy?
John
John
Stewart.
Stewart.
John Stewart. Over and over and over again. What about Kilowog? What about Sinestro? Well, maybe Sinestro is among them. But what about what's the other one? The Red Lantern. What about the Orange? What about the? I don't know. I want to see the main villain from the other spectrum. I don't know. It's just an example. I don't want to but it's like I don't know. I just don't know. So frustration is part of anybody growth. You need to deal with that. You need to try to make things better. But when you do things that you consider that they are uh, they are adding something to the community, to the collectors, to the industry you're working on, and it's not appreciated, that's when I feel like hmm, I thought that I gave you guys something. I thought that I understood something, and I was hoping that you guys can see what I did there. And when I don't get that feedback, positive feedback, it's like, hmm. And when that happened, one, two, three, four times, it's like, okay, maybe I'm dancing in the wrong disco platform. Maybe I'm dancing salsa, and you guys are, or the community is dancing, I don't know, whatever, whatever, hip hop, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like probably I'm in the wrong disco. I need to go somewhere else. And that's basically what I'm feeling right now. It's like, perhaps this is not my cup of tea. This industry is not my cup
Hmm.
of tea. For example, one thing you guys mentioned, Daniel Bell. The main reason why Daniel Bell is so good at what he does It's because he wanted to be here. He's in the place where he wanted to be. I never dream of being a sculptor for collectibles. It was an accident, a happy one, but it was an accident. And nowadays it's like, uh, maybe I've been here way too long. I need to start dancing something else. So anyway,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you. I think
You,
that's a very detailed answer. Thank you very much.
yeah. For sure.
you know what's funny? It leads us. At Cash, I had your question up next, but I think he did answer it. When doing a specific character multiple times, what becomes the challenge? So I feel like he like literally. Or did you want to add anything onto that, Amilcar, by chance? Or
Yeah,
yeah.
sure, sure, sure. I mean, I've been happy. I've been lucky enough to have had the chance of working on different projects. Creatures, monsters. When you see my Artstation page, you can see Merman, you can see Batman, you can see aliens, you can see Rancor. I'm always moving from you know superhero stuff and comics and maybe Star Wars and monsters and blah blah blah. So I don't really know what it is to repeat, but I would say if I would have to do another character, I mean the same character, the only thing that I would love to do is a different take. If I have to do a Venom over and over again, if I have to do a Hulk over and over again, because let's be honest, if you do a Hulk and it's exactly the same Hulk over and over again, and it's based on just comics, it's like, how can I do this differently? How can I do this? How can I take the same Hulk and give my own take? Again, for me, the main thing is, can I can I can I put my stuff, my
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is I'm feeling, my version of it? And usually what they say is no, have to be a copy, exactly a copy of the whatever, the comic or whatever it is. And I usually struggle with that. But anyway, I think that, but given the chance of repeating the same character, even when from different comics, different sources, it would give you also the chance to improve what you did, let's say, wrong, let's say, in the previous version. So it would be good, but at the same time, if you do the same thing three times, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do three times the same Rancor, or it's like, no. The same, even the same alien. If you give me aliens and aliens and aliens, it's like, there is, at some point I want to do something else. I'm not very good at dealing with the same thing over and over again.
Definitely, I definitely hear that. For me, like as collectors, we have more variety now. We have, like, a bunch of companies, and all these companies are starting to do the same thing over and over. And we're always like preaching or like talking about, like, we want a new character, we want a new character. And when we get that new character, though, the biggest thing for me I've seen is we're extremely critical on the new ones. Like,
That's
we're way
true.
more
That's true.
critical.
That's
And
true.
when we get a new Superman, a new Batman, we're like, okay, fine. We get a new Batman, we get a new Superman. We're happy. But when the new pieces come around, I don't know why that is.
You
Oh,
know, it,
yeah. Sorry. Go, Buck.
I was gonna say also. I think maybe it's also just like just because the more popular characters are, the lower the threshold in order to impress. Just because people just want to get those. But if
Exactly.
you're putting a less popular character, you need to really ace it, and it needs to be firing on all cylinders,
Yeah.
or else people aren't gonna be too crazy about it. I'll say an example is look at Twitter Head and see what they're doing right now with the Motu line,
Yep.
and I think that's fantastic.
Hmm. Yep.
You
Total.
you you look at the pieces. When I've never seen a merman statue before this that you did, never
Mm.
seen the trap jaw, and I know they got Beastman coming. And the thing is, people love this stuff now, And why
Yeah,
is because the execution is amazing. And
yeah,
so I think it's like when you do those other characters, you gotta execute.
yeah. And the good thing is that everything that is new. Let's talk about Alien. Let's talk about movies. Let's talk about even Blade Runner. At that time, they they didn't they were not very well received. But nowadays, they are franchises. They are, classics, endless. Timeless. That's the word that I wanted to say. They are timeless. But at the time, they were criticized. Crazy. So sometimes you have to really open your mind, and it's a challenge to make people. You have to have faith in collectors, um, and risk a little bit, especially if you're creating quality. Um, Probably if you do, let's go back to Green Lantern, and you do Hal Jordan, and then you do Kilowog, and then the other one, and then the other one. You say, oh, maybe they might get criticized. But when once you get the whole collection, it's like, dude, they looks fantastic
Yeah.
because they were, really thought out, and they were created at the same time. They were conceptualized at the same time, so people can have a line of 5 statues working together, have a whole shelf, you know, with those statues line up, and they looks fantastic. They really harmonize together. But if you do once, oh, that was not very well received. You do two, that was not very well received. Usually companies do, no more of that line. And usually, um, I think that collectors need to be less in the brand new thing just because it's big, just because the video. Did you see what they come up with? Did you see this? It's like, guys, try to really analyze what is that, and sometimes it's brand is new, but it's ugly. It's very ugly, and they usually say that. Did you see that? That's awesome. It's huge. I don't care. It's ugly. Artistically, it's ugly. And usually, what people do is that they buy it, they get it, awesome, good for the company, bucket. But when they get it at home and they spend a year looking at that, it's like boring. And nobody wants to buy it. Or at least they want to sell it because it doesn't speak. There's nothing there. It was just the heat of a moment, which is something that is happening in another thing since life right now. It's like now, TikTok, now, what comes next? But wait a minute, hold on, and that's something that is happening. Not now, no, but it's more like, for example, art galleries, art galleries are having, and even museums are having problems or trouble to make people stay in front of a painter or a statue or a piece of art more than 5 minutes.
Hmm.
It's like that. It doesn't matter how well executed it is. People just, good. Next one, next one, next one, next one, next one, next one. It's the same feeling. So as artists, we are called to do something else, and sometimes we don't get the chance to do it because companies need to sell things that are saleable. But at the same time, is again what we were talking about. Eating the same over and over and over again. Anyway, I don't want to go out again to the same subject, but it's complicated. It's complicated. But yeah. Next question. Let's go.
Well, Cash, that was your question. Did you want to add anything else to it, really quick, or?
Nah, man. Honestly, I think I talk to Amilcar, a lot from time to time, and I think when you talk about different characters, even if you go back to the Court of the Dead, even with characters such as Zyle, and I remember I was messaging one day, I'm like, how did you come up with Poxel? Because it's this crazy ostrich, and it's just, it's so, it's ugly looking, but it's awesome. You know what I mean? Like it's like ugly in a good way. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just it's this crazy. I mean, you couldn't have done any better on the Court of the Dead. I think that art
Thank you.
is amazing, and it's. I mean, people love that line, and to see a lot of the artwork that you actually got to do for the Court of the Dead that got into the books but didn't actually come to statue form as well, is really amazing. And one thing I've always taken away from you is just how you describe Scarecrow's hands, referring to XM. And even when you talk about doing the same characters, even though one's a samurai and one's more of a traditional Scarecrow from Tweeterhead, they're the same character, but they're so different. And it's crazy. You wouldn't think that's from the same artist, but it
Yeah.
is. And um, I know me and John and Casual, we've always been like, yo, after speaking with you that first time, like we just never look at hands the same way on a statue. Like even like Rancor, you know what I mean? It's like the hands are like, that's the first thing I look at now. And I never looked at hands before on a statue because it was like, oh, it's hands, who cares? It's not a Hawk's face. But now I'm like, so I remember like in a group, somebody's like, oh, look at Hawk's feet. I'm like, in Hawk's hands. I'm like, yeah, man, that's a Amilcar hands. You know what I'm saying? Look at them hands, man.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Remember, the face can lie, hands usually can't.
I tell Buck that all the time, man.
Our next question comes from Buck. So, Buck, if you wanted to read this one off.
I guess what I was saying here, especially the companies you work with, have the most rigid structure when it comes to their production pipeline. Like I know obviously in a production you can have some back and forth where like it goes to this team and they're like, okay, let's like move it back, let's take it back to this point again and redo some stuff. And like, what company do you feel is like very structured and ordered in how they go? We're going to do this. We're moving on to the next stage, and like basically I don't want it to sound like a bad thing, but in terms
Yeah.
of flexibility on like moving back and forth, there's just some places that are very orderly. They know how much time stuff should take, and basically how long they want to spend on each part of the process before they move to the next stage. My guess is like probably the most structured company, if I was to guess, would probably be Sideshow, is my guess. And I'd say a more free form company is maybe a company like XM. They're willing to like, go back and do a lot of revisions, even like is my guess. That's my guess. But
Okay.
I want to hear your answer on that.
Okay. So first of all, I think it's not about the company itself. Any company that wants to be a successful one have to have that structure, that rigid structure. Now, the difference is here. If you are hired full time or you are a freelancer. When you are hired, you have to follow that rigid structure as much as you can. Usually, each piece takes you from 2 months and a half and 3 months, usually, right? But when you are a freelance, first of all, you're not paid the same amount. Second, because of the first one, you have to work on different projects at the same time. Third, because of the first two, it takes longer. So companies nowadays, they have to understand, even after the pandemic, they have to understand that the freelance need to survive, need to feed their family. And usually what takes for a sculptor inside a company 2 months, and even not getting from 0 to 100 the statue in his hands, because I can tell you some of those statues are not done by just one sculptor inside the company. I'm talking about full time, full payment, full employee, full time employees or sculptors. In this case, they rarely work on just one piece from beginning to the end. okay, I need you to go. Probably if you're working on a Spider-Man statue and something, another project is come, they say, okay, give that to another artist, start working on this new one.
Hmm.
And yes, probably you were the main name or the main worker, or you did the most of the work. But the reality is that maybe probably the base was done by the other one, the head was
Yeah.
done by the other one, the texture was done by the other one, even when
The
you
art.
were the main one, the main artist there. So nowadays, and at the same time, the other side of a coin is that as a freelance, you have to do almost all in terms of sculpting, not cutting, sometimes even cutting, sometimes doing the keys. Sometimes I usually try to avoid that process because it's tedious, it's not creative at all, and blah blah blah. But what I'm saying is that what's happening today, and especially after the pandemic, is that the main difference is full-time employee or the freelance. So every company, it's not about how rigid the company is. Usually, in terms of going back and revisit, for example, PCS had to do, as an example, had to redo the Wolverine head. For example, people didn't like it, blah blah blah, and they had to go back and do it. That's good. That's okay. That's good for them. It doesn't mean that they are not rigid in terms of, hey, I need you to get this done as soon as possible because I have another project for you, or because I have a schedule to fulfill. So I can speak mostly from as an artist point of view than from a company. I think every company is very rigid in that sense. If you spend more than 3 months in one statue, they start worrying. No matter what, no matter which company, no matter what you're doing, they start like, hey, time to deliver. I don't know what you're doing. I need this now. Every company do that. Every company. But again, it all depends on how busy you are, and yeah, how complex the statue is, how many projects are you working on at the same time. They need to understand that because usually what is happening nowadays is that they want to keep the same quality and even improve it, but they don't want to pay the same. They want to pay less and less and less, and that is a phenomenon that is happening nowadays in the industry. After the pandemic, a lot of artists appear, a lot of people that wanted to be artists, a lot of people that had the talent to do it. They find themselves without excuses to sit in front of a computer and work and do the work, the study. And that's why you see more competition, more quality in some cases. So companies knows that they are raising the amount of money they ask for the products, but at the same time they are paying less to the artist. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. I,
Yeah.
I think some of this related to that is. Don't worry, I lost my train of
That's
thought.
okay. That's okay. I'll be here for 40 minutes more.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, a question I had really quick that I was going to ask you: do sculptors and painters work close? In the end product, does it match the sculptor's initial idea? I'm guessing, like with like any type of project, like when you start off like on a statue or just for example, like the company comes up to you, says we want this, and we want you to sculpt it. Like, do you from beginning to end, do you work closely with the painter, or do you like does it match your end goal basically of the overall product?
Um, my particular case
Mhm.
is that I am not a painter. I know the painting can raise a sculpture or can destroy it,
Yeah.
no matter how many details and no matter how much art you put there. Paint is almost as important, if not as important, as the sculpting itself. Again, it has the power to raise it or destroy it. So I am not very good at painting. I'm not good at that. I don't know anything about that. But I can recognize. I can even say that, hey, I think it should be here. But for example, I know that Daniel Bell, he works closely with the painting with the painters, because he has that opinion, strong opinion. And he even, when you see, for example, when you see the process of my work, I mainly focus on volumes and forms. And even as I if I would be almost like if I would be working on clay or marble or super sculpting. But when you see, for example, Daniel Bell's Artstation, every statue, even if he present that statue in a ZBrush model frame, has color, because he think about that too. And that is something that I need to incorporate. That's, to be honest. But so far, I don't really take any action into. Yeah, you guys do that. I hope you can do a good job. That's it.
Amilcar, really quick. I find it funny and I find it very enlightening when you say I'm not good at painting, because like I feel like when I draw, like the paint, when I color it in, it has to come out as overall great. Maybe the drawing is perfect for like when I do it, but when I like color it in or do whatever, I'm just like, oh, this looks like garbage. Like if I had a painter, like like a friend that like knew how to paint, it would probably blow it up. But I already stopped in that whole like first process of just drawing it. I'm just like, it's a nice drawing, but painting it I can't do, so I'm just gonna put it away.
Well, you
Color
can
and
paint.
light.
You can draw with
Yeah.
color. You can draw with color. When I do, for example, when you see my drawings, it's black and white. I don't
Mhm.
know why, but color doesn't come to me as easy as comes to other people. I don't know why. That's why I said that I focus most on the grace of a statue, the meaning behind the different symbols or different elements. I work heavily and put all my heart into the other stuff, not color. I leave that to other people. And you, again, it's something that I need to improve. But anyway,
Yeah.
don't stop creating art because you're not good at coloring.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
No, it's not
Awesome.
easy. I think color and light is the most difficult dimension of art.
It's everything. It's because light that we see things the way we see it, and it's because color that we differentiate other things. I mean, both of those things are universes. Are universes on itself. It's like it's really difficult. Really, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's deep. You have to take it seriously. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Not just like, just put some color and that's it. You have to take it seriously.
Awesome. Let's see. Another question we had was, Buck, this was yours as well, right?
Mhm. This one is mostly just like when a piece is being made, and I think this probably has to do with whether you're freelance or full time, right? And so I'm asking, as a sculptor, are you brought on board at the beginning, very beginning of the process? When the concept is being generated, or is it mostly like you have a brainstorming group effort, and then like you give it to the concept artist to go do the concept, and then it comes back to you later once it comes to you. But I'm also thinking I want you to speak on the difference between licensed and custom as well, how that works, because with custom I imagine maybe it's even more collaborative, and they might definitely bring you on early on to share your opinions before it gets to sculpting.
Yeah, sure. I would say, for example, with the Rancor piece, I was not involved in the design of, the pose.
Hmm.
When I got the Rancor, it was already uh, partially done in ZBrush, and I have to redo it almost in 80%.
Hmm.
Use that as a base, and then from there start building all over the Rancor and changing the expression, changing the dynamism. Um, in the case of the Scarecrow, I had to do. They just told me we don't know what to do with this guy. I don't know how to put this guy inside this line, Neo Tokyo Samurai line. Please figure it out. And and I had to start conceptualizing and drawing and sketching and everything from zero. So it depends on that. Yeah, basically it depends on that. And yeah, that's pretty much the answer. Yeah, it depends on the um, again. It depends on if you are full time or not. Because, for example, if they hire you as a freelance, they have to know that you don't have a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a lot of time. You have to do that as fast as you can, but at the same time, you cannot keep me doing this for 5 6 months.
Yeah.
You have to, as a commissioner, whether if it is a private commissioner or a company, you have to understand that this guy needs to feed. It's not his family. It's not an
You
employee.
need to work on
It's
multiple
not a full time.
projects.
Yeah. Um, so when you work with commissions, private commissions, what I have found is that they want to be collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
But usually what they have to learn is to be respectful to the artist's vision. They want something done, but at the same time, they do not take in consideration that the artist sometimes, not always, sometimes this is. It depends on how they face you. If they see you as a sculptor, just a sculptor, almost like a machine, give me the design
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do it in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's okay. I'll do whatever you want. And that's a good
Yeah.
professional if you want. But if you are an artist that has opinion, for example, in the case of a Hulk, I changed the pose. They wanted to do a pose, a pose that is with the hands up and really
Plasticized
dynamic and
ground. Yeah.
yeah, smashing. It was done before. It didn't look, it didn't look like with grace enough to make you the collectors turn around the statue. Is very, even when dynamic, it was very static. So we changed
Mm-hmm.
it. I changed it to something more dynamic with more, ongoing.
Yeah.
So sometimes it depends. And usually what I do is that if someone comes and say, okay, I want you to do this, I say, okay, I can do that. How much freedom do I have? Well, I want you to do this in this way, in this way, and in this way, and in this way, and in this way, and in this way. Okay, no, I won't do it. Yeah, but no, I won't do it. I'm not a machine. I'm sorry, but I'm not a machine. If I can, if I
Mm-hmm.
can, if I can, I try to avoid those situations because I mean, I have that experience and it's have been
It can
really,
really kill your ego
really
as an artist too. Or like
well.
more like your not I guess I shouldn't say ego, but like I've been in a situation where like I'm providing something and constantly it's like revision after revision and it's saying no, tweak it like this, and maybe you get to the point where like I actually don't know what it is you want me to do,
Yeah.
and you keep asking for changes. Am I the right person for the job?
Exactly. And even with my expertise and my almost 10 years in the industry, sometimes I find myself in the same situation. It's like, what do you want me to do? I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to feel that I am not the right one for the project. And it can be happen. I mean, it can happen. I mean, it can happen. Maybe, it can happen. It doesn't. What we have to realize is that sometimes you have to be, in order to provide for your family, you have to be a professional and do whatever they ask you to do. But we're talking about ideal situations here, situations where they can pay you enough for your, and they can, when they show appreciation for your artistry and your mindset and your expertise and your experience via the payment. When those two things combine, that's a perfect job. We can go and back in designs It doesn't mean that I want to do exactly what I want to do, and I want to. I don't deal with no. I can work with somebody else. I can, if you're a commissioner and you say something and you say, I usually say, can I advise you something? Can I give you another way? Hopefully you can understand why. I can give you my reasons, right? But another thing is that when you do that, you have to sometimes deal with the commissioner blaming you for not selling well the statue because you change it, and it's a responsibility. And it's like, okay, uh, but a statue sell well because of many factors, not because just the pose, not because just whatever. It's a lot of things. And if you don't want to take that risk of printing the statue, making one copy and send it to painting, and send it to a good photographer, then don't blame me. Then don't blame me, because you just want to show digital renderings, versions of a statue, and hopefully people get crazy about that. And it doesn't work like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work
Does it?
like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to print it out. You have to paint it. You have to make a great video of it, and then you can see that, because people can see the product as close as they can to the final product. They have to understand that. And usually commissioners, and usually not companies, because companies have the budget to do that, but usually commissioners, private commissioners, do not want to spend that money. And then they blame the artist because the artist just gave them, and maybe partially it's my fault, but it's not entirely. You are not risking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are risking because you pay me, because you're putting some money. But I mean, there are many factors that make one statue a success. Many
Yeah.
factors, many. And usually I see myself trying to educate private commissioners in that area. It's like you have to push a little bit more. You have to push a little bit more. You have to try to sell that statue and try to convince people why your statue is better than that one that is from a big company. It's better because this, is better because that. Try to show it. Try to highlight the things that you think are better in this statue, even when it is just 50 statues.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say, even if you want to sell a statue on a render, at least try and, like, there's like a quick render that you can do really fast. Maybe you send it to Marmoset, or you send it to what's the one that this was ZBrush to plug in again?
Yeah, key shot.
Keyshot. Yes, you sent to Keyshot, and it shows how much time someone will put into the render too. And I can imagine, as a sculptor, you're not gonna do something extra, especially if it's like private commission, and they're probably trying to be conservative on how much they spend. You're not gonna go spend all the time that goes into texturing, like, and then lighting the scene for this render so that they can sell them. Because if they're not paying you for that, it doesn't make sense to spend all the time to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are trying to substitute, nowadays, they are trying to substitute the photographer for the renderings. And that should not be the case. Because that's why when you see a render, you can lie. But when you see a picture, it's harder to lie. You can lie because there is Photoshop, but it's harder to lie. And that's why Sideshow, XM, all those companies have a specific department for lighting. I was lucky enough to visit the new, I mean, a few years ago, the new place for taking pictures at Sideshow. That was bigger than my house. That was huge.
Yeah,
Taller,
they're investing in
bigger,
it. Yeah.
wider. And they had there almost like a zoo with plants and rocks and smoke and lights. They were artists that get a payment of, you know what I mean? Like a salary to do their job after the paint job, after the printing, after the sculpture. And commissioners want to avoid that and makes you do that as a sculptor. And then
And
when
rendering,
the key
yeah.
shot and when the renders doesn't come, like maybe it's not your expertise or doesn't fit exactly what the commissioner had in mind. Oh, it's your fault. You're not doing a well done job. It's like, dude,
This
print
isn't
it
what you
out,
paid me for.
paint
This
it.
isn't what you
Yeah,
paid
I
me
mean,
for.
print it out. Just one copy. Print it out, paint it, and hire someone with at least basics knowledge in photography and lighting, and then you can sell it. Then you can sell it. I've been in that situation so many times. It's like, don't blame me. Don't blame me. Do your risk a little bit more because people. I mean, collectors need to see the final product at least as close as they can, not a rendering, a final product. Let me see it there. Print it out and paint it. That's it. Done. I'm buying. I want that. Anyway.
No, I'm glad to hear that, to be honest, because like as collectors, we just want it, like you said, we want the final product. We honestly do. But when you mentioned how photographers have their own job, sculptors have their own job, renders have their own, there's like a huge process for everything, And I feel like as collectors, we skip it. We just like, we don't care, We just like, not to be mean or anything. It's just like,
No.
yeah, it's just like we want to buy the final product. We don't care what work went into it sometimes, But I feel like a lot of new collectors, old collectors are definitely like focused on like the final product or didn't like the work involved. So it's good to hear like little bit of that work.
XM used to post renders, not anymore. Even
yeah.
drawings or like in 3D, not anymore. They show the concept art later, and they show pictures, final pictures. That's it, done. No more renders. Why wasting time on that? I understand the point of view of a commissioner. They don't have the budget that a company can have, but that's the only way you can compete with a huge company. That's the only way.
Got it. Cash, I know you're at work and everything, but do you want to add anything to it before we?
It looks good, Cash. It
Yeah.
looks good there, man. Like a very serious work, man.
Yeah. He's signing all the paperwork and everything.
That's good. That's good.
Signing off paychecks. Yeah. Fire this guy.
Nah, honestly, I'm sitting back. It's no different than the first time,
Yeah.
talking to you, talking to, JP, pretty much any artist you can think of, man. It's like a campfire, like we're like the Boy Scouts at the campfire, and you guys are just telling these stories. And when you speak, it's almost like you can have a visual interpretation of the art as you're trying to describe things. A render from a photo, I think that's very intriguing, because when you're doing it from a private commission, it's already taking a risk. Is this a trusted, commission? So having that, even if it's one prototype, and having it, paint it well, I think that will allow customers to be able to feel that, okay, well, we can take a chance on them already from a money standpoint. I do agree. I don't think that is on the artist such as yourself. You've done your part of what you were hired to do, by giving them the best product that you can do. Now it's up to them to, do the rest of the legwork. But as always, man, it's always a pleasure, speaking to you and learning just a little bit more about the hobby, man. So thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I had another question I wanted to bring up to you, Amilcar. What would you, how we're half the world, or more than half the world, is on Instagram, Facebook. They're basically on their phone, right? And everything's accessible, like everything, arts, like everything. What would you recommend collectors watch or even read to get a better understanding of statue art, of the stuff we collect, basically?
Yeah, sure. Um, well,
Like you have your Instagram, you have your Artstation, you have your YouTube. Like I,
yeah, YouTube is a little bit smaller, but
yeah, I was like 2 years ago.
almost nothing. Almost nothing. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, hopefully in the future I can do something there. But anyway, you know, I think that every collectors need to um, ask themselves. I think um, what makes a good statue a good statue. It's not about I know that the collecting community is about connecting and reaching people and not feeling alone or feeling a place where you can belong. It has other things than just art. I understand that. But you have to understand that if a group of collectors or the majority or the influencers put the fingers down to one sculpture or statue, you're damaging the reputation of those people, the artists behind, the people that are behind that statue. And probably they will not hire it again, hire him again or not. So you have a power. But if you have the power, you have the responsibility to say, I don't like that because, and, and try to talk for 30 minutes about why you don't like it. Not just because, I don't like it because it's trending. I don't like it. I don't like the Rings of Power. I don't like it. Have you read the Lord of
Whoa,
the
whoa,
Rings?
whoa,
Whoa,
whoa.
Have
whoa,
you,
Yeah,
whoa.
yeah.
no, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
Yeah.
hold on. But have you read the Lord of the Rings? Do you
A while back.
understand the point
Yeah.
of view? The point of view of what are they trying to do? Well, no, but I don't like it. That's it. Because everybody is saying it's almost like a teenage way to see things. I want to belong, and as everybody's saying no, I'm saying no too. Yeah, but why? And how do you say no? So for me, what I think is you need to understand what you're collecting. You need to go deep because nowadays we are living in a world where people do not spend enough time trying to understand what they do, trying to understand what they like. Everything is just like, don't like. Sometimes I see something on YouTube or maybe on Facebook or Instagram, and those are not enough facial expression. It's like or don't like. What about in between? Oh, comment. Okay, I'll comment then. But you know what I mean? It's like try to understand anatomy. You have to study that in order to really take in consideration something because sometimes I was talking to a friend, JP Sarriola. Probably you guys know him. He's a YouTuber. He's a collector too. He does reviews. I really
Yep.
like the way he does reviews. Very respectful. Um, and I was talking to him and telling him the difference between McDonald's and hamburgers, right? And and house made hamburgers, right? When you go to a restaurant and you ask for house made, hamburgers, there is a difference. That's real meat. Those are real flavors. That's real garlic. That's, everything tastes better. And that's why you pay more for that. I had an experience that taking a boy who was raised um, eating McDonald's. That was the prize. That was if you behave, I'll take you to McDonald's. And I took that boy and say, okay, I'm gonna take you to a restaurant and you're gonna eat a real hamburger, real one, big steak, a lot of meat. Great. He does that and say, yeah, that was good, but I still prefer the McDonald's. It's like, you know what I mean? And with
Yeah.
statues, that happened to me. It's like if I put this product out there, I am hoping that without speaking, you can really analyze that. And once you spend some time analyzing that and really dig in there, you go back different and see the rest of your collection with another eyes. But if you don't do that and you say, that's awesome, that's great, Amilcar Fong, great, and then go back to what you had, and I'm trying to be respectful here, and go back to your McDonald's and say, that's so delicious, that's so, and it's like, please don't talk about my hamburger again. Because you don't see the difference.
All right.
Do me a favor, don't talk about my hamburger. And what I'm saying is, I'm not, again, I'm not trying to be unrespectful. I'm not trying
Oh
to,
yeah.
to say my hamburger is the best, because obviously I have few McDonald's out there. Right? Okay.
Of
But what I'm
course, yeah.
saying is, whenever I have the chance, I try to give art, not just a product. And it hurts when people cannot differentiate between art and product.
Yeah.
Very understandable. Like I definitely in our community, our statue community, I feel like that gets mixed up or that gets missed a lot of the times. Like you see a very popular statue coming out, everyone just wants to rush to it, and then like they don't care what the art direction was in it. They just care like the community loves it, so I gotta love it, and the whole art gets lost in it, you know. And then like you as a collector, like your direction and your focus starts leaning towards that way instead of having a proper, self, your art, your self art is getting lost with, following the community. So it's nice to hear, to be honest. uh Cash, this question you had coming up, if you want to read it off real quick.
Yeah, later. I was saying, when creating a character, like, what is your favorite IP? Like, I remember when you were talking about the Hawk, it was just something that was different for you. It was your first Hawk, so do you feel like it's just more challenging, or it's more like, almost like a new flavor of candy, if you will? Like, oh, I get to try this new candy or this new character, metaphorically, to where you can kind of have that freedom and kind of play with it and see. Do I want it to be more traditional, like Kirby, or do I want it to be like a modern take, or kind of like, just what do you kind of look for, when creating a character?
Whatever it is, I try to be, for example, with if you see the three faces that I sculpted for the Hulk, we try to make those three faces like different artists in different times, but at the same time with the touch of realism and naturalism on that. And I like that. I do really like that. I It's not about the IP, it's about how much freedom do I have to give my interpretation of even the artist or the art interpretation, or the source, let's say, right? There it is. When you see those, I try to be as loyal as possible to the main source,
Yeah.
which is the comics, which is sometimes is 2D, which is sometimes a face that in front the artist was able to do in one way, but when the artist had to draw it in another angle, it was totally different. So give me and try to give me the chance to do my interpretation on that, and give the sense of naturalism, and try to give my own take on that. That's the most important thing nowadays for me. Not just copying, not just, it's not about IP. For example, Alien. XM gave me a wonderful and a beautiful time when they said, do the alien. Let's respect the general form you're gonna do 4 arms or 5 legs. No, just the general shape have to be the same, but do your own take on that. And I did it, and that was, they were really supportive on that. um yeah, that's what I nowadays praise the most is, and which is, taking the chance to put my own vision on that,
I
whatever it
think you do
is.
your best work with monsters, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, because I
yeah,
really see
Yeah.
it in this, and I see it in the Merman that you did, and
yeah.
then some of the other
Are
pieces.
you saying that you don't like my Skeletor?
I know. I was like, come
I
on,
do
bud,
like the
don't
Skeletor.
be.
I consider him a
Come on,
monster
No,
as
no,
bud.
no,
well.
no, no. That's okay. No, please, that's okay. I mean, what you're saying, Buck, right now,
Mhm.
it's awesome because monsters is my first love. That's it. Period. If I do superheroes, it's because I need to feed my family.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would spend my whole time doing monsters and creating new stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I am trying to emigrate from collectibles to another industry,
Mhm.
because it's rarely the chance that you have to do monsters and creatures and inventive and being creative.
Mhm. This looks
That's
awesome, man.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Cash, thanks for your question. And
Yeah,
Buck, this
thank you, guys.
uh, Buck, if you wanted to read this one off really quick
Yeah.
for.
What company, and like, so like I know you definitely have a good amount of experience with most of the companies that people are very familiar with, and I would say amongst all those companies, with what art director do you feel you've worked with that has really pushed you in terms of the critique and their feedback in a way that you feel like it has really elevated the final product, the work that you've come out with? You're like, wow, without the feedback I got from this person, I did, this is my work, but that feedback helped to bring out this work from me that I think I can even respect the changes that were inspired by the feedback I got from this person. And this is like really good work I've produced thanks to that feedback.
I would say even the Scarecrow, even the Skeletor statue, not just the bust, but also the Skeletor. To the head, David Igo, Martin Augusta from XM, used to work for XM. Um, uh, I've been working with the Kushada brothers, and they have been really, really pushing the level of the work, at a point where I sometimes think like, damn, I think that that this project is not good. I mean, I was wrong for this project because the art director is so strong that makes me feel like, damn it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Mostly to the head, mostly to the head. Yeah,
That's
for the
awesome.
Skeletor and the merman and the bust and the statue of Skeletor. Yeah.
We can see it as the collectors, and I'll tell you, like,
Oh
I've put
yeah.
my money down.
Yep.
So I've put my money down. I believe in the work you're doing there. I think it's pretty awesome. So,
Thank you.
Well, Amir, I know we're running low on time. I'm gonna get into some of the questions. Some of the people that have been watching. If you want to answer these really quick or take your time with
Yeah,
them.
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
Crippler was asking really early on, what can an artist and the community to stop our AI overlords from taking over the hobby, or is it inevitable?
Uh, ooh, well, there's nothing we can do. We just every time someone can, I think that the point have been made, whether if it is effective or not. Uh, I don't know, because who can control that? I don't know. It's out there, and we've been more than a decade filling up internet with our art. In fact, internet is the way we get the job.
Yeah.
Without posting our work, how can I get my art? How can I get hired? So there's no way. Some, I mean, AI is it's just a product of these times. Again, people do not want to take the time to create art. They just want to fill up with that's it. Give me the product, and that's it. Few words. I want to get the art based on this, and this, and this. So anyway, I don't know if there is much we can do other than raising our voice and say, "Hey, stop doing this," or "Don't do it in that way," because they cannot stop that. And if it's not now, AI is going to be in the future. It's AI. It's just something else. It's not about the new technology. It's about companies trying to get a product, trying to pay less and less. It's just like that. It's just like that. It's just like that. We don't want to pay. That's a symbol of we don't want to pay
Yeah.
what your time and your experience worth. We want something cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Yeah, maybe that's good business. I know, but it's not art. Let's say that it's not art. It's something else.
Yeah.
It's not art. Main stuff. The most important thing is that. So they are trying to get a product, but it's not art. Please don't call it art.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, if
Agreed.
it is a beautiful picture, it's art. Please don't call it art. There's no sweat in there. There's no, thinking, reading, investigating, hours and hours trying to put meaning behind something. It's just a few words and that's it.
Awesome. This one's pretty funny. Forenzi's asking, "Hi, Amilcar. What is your favorite taco? If you ever go to San Diego Comic Con, we shall feast on stingray tacos." So in San Diego, they have these tacos and they put stingray on it. And I've
Stingray?
had, yeah,
The animal?
the animal, yeah, the fish looking thing. It's good. It's really good.
Oh man.
I've had it like a bunch of times. It's amazing. But it doesn't have to be tacos. What's your favorite plate? What's your favorite
Okay,
food?
thank you, Frenzy Collect, for
Yeah.
the question. I remember in one of my visits to SciShow, I remember we went to, wow, what was the name? It's a famous one.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
and Out.
No. It's a tacos restaurant.
Tacos.
Uh, well,
Oh, Pollo
anyway,
Loco?
Del Taco?
it could be one of those. I don't remember. But the thing is that they put rice. I mean, I basically substitute the plate for the for the taco, and that's basically what I did. Rice and beans and meat and
Chipotle.
yeah, chipotle. That's the one.
Oh, Chipotle.
That's the one. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's not the same, but that's what I like the most. It's
Awesome. Let's see. Another one really quick. Nelson Ortega's asking, "Have you ever wanted to do something that you feel inspired on your own? And if so, what direction do you follow to ensure that you remain in control of the project?" I think we answered that a little bit, but if you wanted to go into it real quick.
Sure they remain in control. Unless you do something for yourself and for your own, you print it out, you design it, you sculpt it, you print it out, and you sell it. Unless you're doing something like that, you are not in control.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's the company that is paying you. They are in control. Mainly, they are in control. Ultimately, you have to do what they want. That's it. Hopefully, they understand your point of view, they comprehend, they respect, and see your point of view, and they allow you to do that. Even if they see your point of view and understand that, sometimes they want things the way they want to do it. And that's it. And sometimes you ask, why do you want to do that? Give me a reason. And they say, because I want to do it. Done. That's it. just do it. I'm not very comfortable with that situation, but that's the way it is. They are paying the bills.
Yeah. The last question we had for tonight was this is my brother, by the way. He says, "Do you
Ah,
have a do you have a signature in your work? Like, do you hide your initials somewhere, or your like on your work at all, or do you have like a little?"
recently, yeah. Recently, I was given the chance to do that, and I did it. For example, with the Hulk, if you pay attention to one of the white lines on the street, the front one, uh probably there's no yeah, there's no picture that show that, but anyway, because it's a tiny thing, is I don't want to make the Hulk, Amilcar Fong Hulk. Nobody wants to have that there. But in the in the front feed, you will see that in the painter version, or the render version, in that white line on the street, in one of the places where the painting is off, is it described my Amilcar Fong signature down there. Yeah, there, probably. I don't know. Maybe they took it away because they reduced the base. But anyway, it's around there. And in the Silver Surfer, that hopefully is gonna be released soon, hidden in the base of the this what is it, the surfboard,
Yeah.
my name is there, my signature there. But yeah, and nothing, it's nothing like big. I don't want to, the main thing is the art, is the character. No, no, not me.
Gotcha. Well, Amirkar, thank you again for coming on the show. And I wanted to put one thing too. Like, if anybody wants to follow Amirkar on YouTube, Artstation, Facebook, Instagram, like he has a bunch of stuff there. So you guys could either like go behind the scenes, look at his art, look at his future work, and keep up with him. Definitely give him a follow. I love this profile picture, by the way, Amir Khan.
That's how I feel about the industry right now. That's why I put it there. It's like,
yeah. I wanted to put this as a thumbnail, but I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, put it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? That's how I feel nowadays.
But Amir Khan, thanks again. And I know, like, Cash, like, do you have anything left for Amir Khan by chance?
Yeah, man. Again, it's it's been a pleasure, getting to meet you and know you over this last year, man. It's always amazing to talk art with you. You're very knowledgeable, and I'll continue to ask you questions behind the scenes on different stuff that I'm looking at. I'm very excited for that Skeletor. I'm really, really excited for that Skeletor to be able to add it to my collection. And no matter what you do, man, just keep being great at what you do, and follow whatever makes you happy, man. And again, the art is always amazing. And hey, man, I don't know if these hands don't lie, but
Thank you. Keep singing, right? Don't stop that part of you.
Appreciate it, man.
Rapping and do the things, please. Be good at that.
Buck Fangs is our artist guy. Every stream that we have, Buck gives us a whole new perspective on everything. So Buck, thanks for joining in too. But do you have anything left for Mirakar?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for answering all my questions. And I also wanted to say the work you've done on cloth and like drapery and folds, like I can see it and I appreciate it in the last few pieces you've done, the sideshow Batman and also the new Skeletor, and I think it's very excellent work. You see a lot of sculpted capes, and they're done badly. I think most of them aren't done too well, and I think what you've done with the sculpted capes that you've done, at least that I've seen recently, from those two pieces, I really appreciate the work you took. You clearly took your time with
All right,
the
Buck, let
drapery.
me stop you right there. I cannot take that compliment, because I did the 80% of the cape
Mhm.
of the Batman. That I can take.
Hmm.
But in the case of a Skeletor, the cape was done by somebody else. I did my own version, but they didn't like it. or they like something else, so they hire somebody else. I think it's Thiago Rios, which is another amazing
It's
from
awesome.
Brazil. He's incredible. So he did a fantastic. So thank you, Thiago Rios, for the cape. You're giving me compliments about the part I didn't do. So thank you, Buck. Again.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Amilcar, man. Yeah, if you ever want to join in one of our streams, I'd be great. It'd be great to have you. Like anytime you want to join in, or like if you want to do a part 2, like we'll definitely do a part 2. And
sure, for sure.
yeah, Amilcar.
Anytime.
Amilcar, like, do you have like being from Cuba and living in Argentina now? Like, do you have anything left to say for people that are trying to get into the industry or trying to? I mean, you said a lot already, but like for up and comers, like what would you leave behind?
Collectors or artists?
Both. If you want to do both, like collectors or yeah, I would. If you could do both, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, let's start with collectors and pay attention to what you do collect. I know there's a lot of versions of this. I know there are even when some collectors do that, they don't like the fact that people buy statues and then sell it and try to get a profit out of that. It's like buying a car. You buy it, probably in few years you can, if it is something that very strange car, you sell it and make a buck and then buy another one. I don't see any problem with that. But the thing is that try to spend more time eating your hamburger. That's it. Not just eat and poop, eat and poop, eat and poop. Try to really feel what you're eating and appreciate what you're eating, what you're doing in life. That's for collectors. And artists, I would say be sure that you love what you do. Be sure that you love what you do and try to defend that love and that passion, because this industry has the power to damage that love. So try to defend it, try to get ready, try to keep your mind, prepare your mind for not validation, not well paid, frustration, many other things. Get ready for struggle, get ready for that. So be sure that you love what you do if you go into the collectibles industry as an artist.
Awesome, Amilcar. Thank you for that. And Cash, Buck, thank you guys too. And Amilcar, have a great night. Thank you 1,000%. And Amilcar, take care, man. we'll
Take
see you
care,
later.
guys. Thank you so much. Let's do the second time.
Yeah, soon, very soon. Yeah.
Let's do
Have a
it.
good night, you
Later,
guys.
man.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Good night.